Now, today the news came through that Graham Arnold will be stepping down as Socceroos coach. Joining us now is former Socceroo and one half of the global game, Alex Brosque. G'day, Brosque.
How are you?
Mate, big news drops today. What's your take?
Oh, as shocked as everybody else, I think. I wasn't expecting it. There's never a good time to leave, really. But, I mean, truth be told, I thought after the World Cup and the way he finished there, I thought that was a perfect way to go out. But, look, he's always maintained that he's about these players and he loves this group of boys and he wanted to keep them together and keep them on that journey. So I thought he would go all the way and qualify and then go to another World Cup, but it wasn't to be. He's obviously stepped aside, and, yeah, I'm very shocked by the news.
If you're just catching up on the news, by the way, official statement from the Socceroos, Graham Arnold, the longest service coach in Socceroos history, will depart immediately from the role of head coach. Arnold advised Football Australia earlier this week of his decision to resign from the role, which was accepted by the board, with Football Australia now focused on appointing a new head coach ahead of the second window of Round 3 AFC Asian qualifiers for the road to 26 in October. Arnold lost 1-0 to Bahrain. So that's where did it all go wrong, mate, be the question. You could chime in there. But, Brosque, have you got a front runner for the particular gig? Is there a short list already out there at the moment?
Look, I don't know if these discussions have already been taking place, I guess, or whether Arnie, in mentioning it early this week, because there is news they want to appoint someone fairly quickly. I mean, generally these things take a little bit of time. So I don't know if there was a backup in place and, there's names, I guess, being thrown around. I personally don't have a front runner. You've got Kevin Muscat doing fantastic things. Tony Popovich, another one, if we're looking at Australian coaches. And then there's foreign options, which I just don't know where they'd go there. For a foreign coach to come in now, very, very difficult. To come in to that Australian camp at the moment, it needs time. And we don't have time. We've got to win our next two games, which is against China, like you mentioned, and then Japan away. So I think it needs to be someone in the interim anyway that knows the players, knows the team inside out, knows who we're playing against in these Asian nations, and can do a job fairly quickly.
You've probably answered, well, you have answered, in fact, the question I was about to ask you, which is exactly that: do we need an Australian? So I'll move on to the next part of that. So you have answered that, and we probably do for the short term, Brosque. But when you go to the absolute top flight teams, your top 5, 6, 7, 8 teams globally, how many of those would be aligned with a local countryman or countrywoman when it comes to their particular teams, would you say?
Well, good question. I mean, I haven't looked at that. I just feel like, and with our squad at the moment, I think if you had a team full of superstars, and that's where it's probably different. If you're talking, your England, your Italy, Spain, those teams play themselves, So you just need someone to steer them in the right direction. Yes, pick the right players and get the right balance. But we're not like that. We're a team that, at the moment, that is a real grafting side. I think we're at our best when we're playing better quality opposition, and we need to be tactically well organised. We need to fight, we need to battle, and we need to pinch something. That's when we've been at our best. But when it comes to, your smaller Asian nations, we've struggled. We've struggled to open those teams up. We've struggled to create chances. And that's really, for me, down more so to personnel. We don't have those creative players that your Englands, your Spains, and your Italys do. So I feel like to get the best out of this team, Graham Arnold's been doing that, which is why it's a surprise to me that he stepped aside, because I don't know who comes in and can get more out of this side, So I do think it's different. I think for Australia in particular, it's important to have someone who understands our culture, understands how to get the best out of these players, and Australian players in particular. And also we need, I understand the need for some fresh ideas. I guess under Arnie, we had that very good tactical lineup and the way that we played. But again, and it could be a deeper issue. We need a creative player. We need a creative spark that when teams are well organised against us, we've got someone who can unlock a defence or do something magical, something that not everybody can do. And that, for me, is just where we're lacking at the moment. So whether someone can come in and turn things around miraculously, I guess we'll wait and see.
Alex, both the Matildas and the Socceroos are currently without full-time managers at the moment. What's more important, mate, getting the right person or getting managers in as quickly as possible?
It's a fine line with, I think, the Socceroos. I think you definitely need the right person, because if someone comes in and it's not the right fit and it just doesn't sit well with the group and they don't respond, and we don't get two very good results in the next window, which is only a couple of weeks away, we're in real trouble of not qualifying, in particular with the men. So I feel like that one, it has to be the right decision. But that's more reason why I think it just has to be a local coach for the moment. If they have bigger plans to bring someone else who can, I think look at our whole system. I think there's something that's clearly gone wrong, that we're not producing the type of player that we were before. Right now, at the moment, we're starting to get players like your Chirkardis, young boys that are starting to get into the top leagues around the world. But there's been a big gap between our last golden generation and I guess when that next one comes. So it needs to be someone that can put that plan in place from grassroots all the way through our national team system, which we don't have at the moment. We don't have that time. So in the interim, I'm looking for someone who can do a quick job, and I'm looking at a local coach.
Are there any senior players that will be, I suppose, counselled with their thoughts at this point, or is it just the higher-ups are going to be making the decision on this when you talk about sort of the strength of the squad at the moment and the indecision around the squad at the moment? Is there anyone that sort of stands out where you think Australia will be reaching out and asking them their opinion on who's next?
Well, definitely, I think Matty Ryan is the guy they have to consult about who comes in and what he thinks, because he, if it is to be a local coach, then it is likely that a lot of these players have dealt with whoever that person that comes in, and they will be able to offer their advice on what that person's like. But I'd say Matty Ryan is definitely the guy to go to. A lot of the other guys, your Harry Soutars, your more senior guys in our team, are based overseas and would be out of touch with our local players anyway. So it has to be someone like Matty Ryan, who's the captain anyway. He's a real voice in that change room and in that team, our most experienced Socceroo at the moment. So I dare say they'd be speaking to him.
I've just got a bit of a short list here that's being floated around, and I'd love your thoughts, Brosque, on maybe your top two of this particular list, which may or may not be on the money, really quickly. So Kevin Muscat, for those who don't know, currently managing in China, similar style to Big Ange. You've got Herve Renard, former Morocco and Saudi Arabia coach, Nick Montgomery, former Mariners coach, currently working under Ange at Spurs. You've got Tony Popovich, former WSW, the Wanderers, Victory and Glory manager, and John Aloisi, current Western United coach. Of those five names, is there one or two that set themselves above the pack?
Well, I do like Herve Renard. I think that'd be a fantastic appointment. I think he's done fantastic things with both sides you mentioned there, and seems to have a real presence. We saw footage of him at halftime of the Saudi Arabia-Argentina match, and just how incredible his message is when he gets it across, and how focused the players were on every single word that he says, the presence that he's got. And that could be a real shake-up, someone like that, someone who's got that presence. But locally, I think, look, Kevin Muscat out of the others, or Tony Popovich, either of these guys. These are guys that, from that similar old school vein of Graham Arnold, who know how to get the best out of players. They've done it for their clubs everywhere they've been. So either one of those two, I think.
Beautiful. Well said, Alex Brosque. We appreciate that, mate. And the Global Game, of course, is back on the SEN network with Simon Hill. And there was a song called Our Lips Are Sealed, where most people thought it was Alex Cecile. So we call him Alex Cecile Molchanov. He's going to be there with you guys in early October as well. Brosque, thanks so much for joining the Run Home with Joel and Scopey today and giving us that insight.
No problem. Thanks, boys.